Hey everyone, it's Kyle from Cool Collectibles, back again for another review. This time it's the Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale Dengar from Empire Strikes Back. For all your 1/6 scale figures and more, click the link in the description below to head on over to Sideshow Collectibles. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, I was actually pretty surprised to get this today. Sideshow have recently sent most of their figures to Australian fans directly from Hong Kong, but I did receive this from Los Angeles, so they did ship it out of the US. Which was surprising since I did get charged for Zuckuss first, and that still hasn't shipped, so I'm not sure what's happened with that figure. But going by the Sideshow Freaks and other forums, it has shipped as well. So it looks like within the next week or so, I'll finally complete the Bounty Hunter troop from Empire Strikes Back, which has been a long time coming. And if Zuckuss is anything like this Dengar, I think I'll be pretty happy with the lot. I actually have to say this figure, I'm pleasantly surprised with the way it turned out. The final production photos, I was a little bit worried, but in hand, I'm actually pretty impressed overall. So I'll just get him out of the way for the moment. Just a quick look at the box. Pretty much standard sort of box art in this pretty boring Star Wars style, to be honest. You get the usual front art there, then you get the alternate photo on the back, and I think there's another photo on the magnetic, when you open the magnetic flap. But enough of the box, onto the accessories. You get the usual standard Sideshow hexagonal Star Wars stand, which is pretty much boring, but I'm not sure why they even bother putting the logo on the bottom, to be honest. I don't know if that's just a licensing thing, but I would have preferred a nameplate with the character or something like that. But other than that, it's your standard sort of base. He comes with an assortment of hands, and as per this sort of usual style, Sideshow do the great thing and include a wrist peg in each hand, which is something really companies like Hot Toys really should be doing as well. But I do like that Sideshow do that. With the sculpt itself, they're not too bad, but the fingers, I think, are a little bit chunky, but the sort of weathered paint application isn't too bad. So you get the sort of rifle or gun holding hands. Not sure. I think this is the barrel sort of holding hand as he supports it on his arm there, and then you get some closed fists, and he does come with some relaxed palms out of the box. So overall, not too bad, but I think Hot Toys does probably do a better job with the sculpting of the hands and gloves and so on. But overall, these do a pretty good job. Weapons wise, it does come with a little blaster. I've no idea what sort of model or anything like that, and whether or not this is movie accurate is well, I have no idea, but I'm sure plenty of the more detailed fans would know. But overall, the detailing is pretty good. Not too much sort of silver wash weathering on it, but overall it's not too bad. The rifle here, I did double check that it wasn't identical to what 4LOM and the others carry. Whether or not this is movie accurate, by all accounts this stock was not in the movie, and it allowed him to hold it in certain positions, but I guess for completeness and I guess rifle realism, they've included the full weapon. It does have a few moving parts that feel rather delicate, so just be careful. And you can see the spring in there, which allows you to sort of move this mechanism back and forth, but I wouldn't play around with that too much. And close that back up. I think this bit moves up. I think you might be able to fold it forward, but this part here looks very delicate, so I'm not going to try and do that and snap it off. But the front sight section here does lift up, and I'm assuming the other side there, if I can get my fingernail in there, lifts up as well. But other than that, the overall detailing and paint application is pretty good. I'm not sure if I did read on the Sideshow Freaks that some of the paint application or detailing might not be completely movie accurate, but if I didn't read any of those, I would be none the wiser. So overall, it looks like a nice weapon, and I'll definitely have him holding this. The final accessory out of the box is his backpack. and overall it's pretty good. I like the fabric little blanket thing there. Not sure if these are sort of just plastic ropes. They don't look like they're sort of tied in there somewhere. There is a bit of a tie up the top here, but overall that nice bit of mixed media is pretty good. These straps are a little disappointing in the sort of material they've used. It does look like a pretty sort of brittle material, not like a nice soft leather type material, so just be careful how you move or bend that, so that you get the sort of different sort of almost suede type material at the top there, and this almost vinyl worn leather type material there, and also along the sides here. But the paint application and the weathering is pretty good. I think the prototype photos of course had that sort of added bit of detailing and realism to it, but for the most part, for a mass produced figure, I'm not too fussed. And as you can see, it's got that big magnet at the back there, and thankfully all you do on the back of the figure is pretty much got this massive flat mechanism which I guess it was their compromise to get him to have this backpack, and you pretty much just clamp it on the back there, and it sits and hides that sort of massive black panel fairly nicely, and you sort of get the strapping along there to give that illusion of having the whole backpack strapped in there. So that's a nice little design feature. I'm not too fussed with that. But on to the figure. Alright, as with most Sideshow figures, the biggest area of concern is the head sculpt, and usually the paint application is an area of concern. But for this particular figure, I have to say I'm pretty happy with it overall, and the way they've designed the head sculpt. The strapping at the top here is not material, but it's just a sort of rubber piece that you can take off. So I'm not sure, it's almost like a hoodie or something, and it's just a really soft plastic. Would have been nice if they had found some way to make that a nice sort of material, but other than that, it's not too bad. But the way they've done the inner sort of cowl is pretty good. Just watch out for some of the stranding. I've got a little strand here that I'll probably get a nail clippers or something to cut off, because this whole material around his face is some sort of it's like a khaki type material, and it's quite nicely done. It's nicely weathered, consistent with the rest of his outfit. And as you can see, if I just get one of these little tools, it is a separate piece to his actual body outfit. So I'm not sure, you can't really move it too much. You can sort of adjust it around the cheeks here a little bit, but you can't really move it too much. You can see you can push it down a little bit further to cover his face, but other than that you can't really move it too much. Now the paint application on the face, the eyes aren't too bad. They're probably better than most of the Sideshow figures I've received in the past. Would have been nice if the scarring and the red stood out a little bit more, but yeah, with the eyes it doesn't have that perfect sort of realism and glassiness that the Hot Toys figures have, but they're not too bad. The skin texture and the paint application on the skin is pretty good as well. There is the variation in tone, which adds that bit of realism. It's probably not showing too much on my viewfinder here, but it's probably, adding a touch of that freckling from Hot Toys figures might just add a little bit more realism. But overall, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by how well this head sculpt turned out, and I do like the sort of use of the mixed media here, so you can sort of fold this away or tuck this away as you might want to do to make it a bit more movie realistic. But overall, I'm really happy with the head sculpt. The armor pieces themselves, the initial final production photos, I was actually a little bit worried because they did seem a little overly dark and didn't have too much weathering in some of the photos. But in hand, the sort of light texture, different shades of the sort of brass or brownish colors do come out, and there is the subtle sort of weathering that you can see across all the armor pieces as well. So overall, I think they've done a pretty good job with the armor. One bit of I don't know if it's frustration or just confusion on my part. The chest piece here sort of comes around, and you sort of have these straps to keep it all together. But this bit around the belly here, this stomach area, the belt is clipped in by a single little clip that you sort of push into the hole there, and that sort of straps around his back there, and that's what holds these pouches. But I'm not quite sure if there's anything else holding that in place. It seems to sort of move around pretty freely, so I'm not sure if it's just friction holding that in place, but just something to be aware of when you're sort of futzing that around. This crotch piece sort of, I think that's the one that's strapped to the back of that, so that sort of holds that in place. There's no piece that comes around under the crotch. The shoulder pieces are attached together, so you have a strap across the shoulder there holding those in place, and across the arms. These forearm pieces, I'm not quite sure if they're just put on by Velcro. They're jammed inside this top part of the glove, and so the hands pretty much just cover the swap out hands cover the hand and not the whole gauntlet thing. So I'm not sure how that's put on there, but I'm not going to try and take everything off to have a look. What else is there? These pouches, they can open, so they have a magnet on the outside, and you just close it up and it'll snap shut like that. And they're fairly nicely done as well. Mine's got a bit of glue showing through on that side, but I'll try and colour that in or something. The thigh pieces, as you can see, the straps are there, and they move fairly freely, so you can just adjust them how you want. And these pieces down the bottom here on his shins, it's very similar to Stormtrooper armor. They are obviously a bit fatter due to his girth. And this sort of pistol holster, the fake leather's not too bad. Could have been weathered a little bit nicer, but it seems to do the job. And again, there's a magnet there that clips that strap in. I do like the way they've done the boots. I'm not sure what that sort of furry or cloth material is under there, if that's supposed to mimic socks or something. That seems to come up past his the back of his shins there on his ankles here, and but it doesn't sort of restrict the articulation of his ankles, so they are nice and firm. You can sort of feel that. You do have the nice ankle rocking motion and the tilt as well, so plenty of articulation in the ankles, although you probably won't utilize any of that too much, because the overall, there is a fat suit that you can feel under there, and it really restricts any sort of articulation. He sort of moves his legs, but that's pretty much as far as I can move it without sort of forcing it. And so yeah, I can't really, it really feels restricted there. The arms move okay, so you can get them quite high. This outfit feels fairly loose and is really nicely tailored and weathered, I have to say. Yeah, so the arms aren't restricted too much, but they definitely are restricted around the waist here. I think you get double jointed elbows, but again, this armor piece is sort of stopping it from bending. You probably can adjust it around, but I won't bother doing that too much. So articulation wise, I guess you never saw him really doing too much in the movie apart from just standing there, as with most of the bounty hunters really. But I think for this figure, the articulation, especially with this armor pieces at the top, he can't really move too much. So the head, moves fairly well, as you would expect. Get a bit of tilt in there, so that it feels like there's a bit of a neck joint underneath as well. So you can get a bit of head movement, which is good. But the legs don't move too much, and the torso don't move too much either. So you'll really have to be stuck with posing him by moving the head and his arms. So that's pretty much all you're going to get And I guess if you're just trying to replicate that Empire Strikes Back scene, that's pretty much all you're going to do anyway. So that is pretty much it overall. I'm pretty happy with it. I think in the scheme of things, he's probably right up there with Boba Fett and Bosk as my favourites out of the bounty hunters. From the, I guess, the detailing in the outfit comes with quite a few parts, I guess. So it's not quite as simple as I guess how I see Forlom, for example, which was pretty much a C-3PO rehash. But by all accounts, I think Zuckuss is pretty damn good too. So I can't wait to get that. Hopefully you can click that like and subscribe button on this video and stay tuned for that review once I get the figure, hopefully within the next week or so. But that's pretty much it. Hope you like that, and can leave any comments, and I will take some more photos with the rest of the gang as well, especially with the Han Solo and Carbonite as well that I got a month or so ago. So hopefully you can stay tuned to the Facebook page as well and check out the photos there. So thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.